Hi.
Hello, everyone. We are Don't Mess with the Mommas, Mommas, with our motto.
You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
You are.
I'm Carla.
I'm Arlaana, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 10
Oh my goodness, 10.
of our show.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one is called I Crave, Therefore I
I am.
Am. I crave.
I crave.
You crave. We
We
all crave for ice cream.
cream.
You probably don't even know that. That was from a long time
Time
ago,
ago.
right?
We're ancient.
No, well,
Oh, no.
oldie but goodies.
Yes, definitely.
So just talking about this, and actually our sub-theme is earthly desires lead to enlightenment. So it's good to have cravings, and we'll talk all about that and
That's
why
true.
it's so good as long as they stay in control. But just to tell you a little bit before I turn it over to you.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was I glutton. I think I was
Okay.
really a glutton. That's why I struggle today with weight. It seems like every time my family had, we used to get these big platters of pastrami and tongue. We used
Okay.
to really like tongue,
You can
pastrami
find
tongue.
that today.
I know, and yep, and corned beef, right? And it seems like I was always the first online.
Okay.
I don't. The fear of missing out now.
Yes.
That's a big thing. FOMO.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think fear of missing out. Food. I
Yes.
think I had that, and I think a lot of people do have that fear of missing out on food. So it seems like I was always craving to be the first one, and that led to all of my issues that I have today with food, sensitivities and stuff. But I can really kind of go back to that because I had a lot of cravings.
Yeah.
And then when I met this Buddhism, they said, "Oh, you attain enlightenment through your desires. The more desires, the better." I said, "Okay, that's for me. I'm not giving up nothing. I don't want to give up anything. In fact, the more desires, the better, right?"
Right.
And lots of people, and just to spur on our discussion, lots of people feel like, oh, it's sinful to have pleasure. It's sinful to enjoy a good piece of cake. Now,
It's sinful to have a prayer answered.
yeah. Okay. Right. Absolutely. Yes, you're right. Yes. So when we had our first restaurant, it's just a funny thing, and then we'll put it over to you. When we had our first restaurant, there was a woman who came in, and she looked at we had all these incredible cakes. They're so good, so yummy. And she says, "Oh, those are all sinful, right?" And I whispered in her ear, I said, "You're supposed to enjoy your life. That's the purpose of people's existence, is to be happy and enjoy, not to be filled with fear and guilt and regret and remorse and resentment. What crapola, what miserable life that creates for your life." So take it away on how cravings or desires actually lead to enlightenment, why we need these desires and not to extinguish them.
Well, we're not separate from our desires. Our desires are what keep us here. The desire to breathe,
Yeah.
the desire for food, hunger keeps you alive. Anger may also save your life. So all these desires are, you can use them in a positive way. Your desires are not opposite to your enlightenment. We use those things to find out what enlightenment is. For me, it was chanting for a job. I needed a job, and I wanted to keep my boyfriend, and I chanted for the job, and I got the job, and I was able to keep the boyfriend too. And it just helped me to realize, that my prayer was being answered. Now, sometimes you could be afraid of your prayer being answered, but it's that you're changing something within your life. You are elevating your life. You are learning something, which is very important.
We say that desires are essential, for creating your life, and they're the ignition to lead to your happiness. Without desires, if we give up desires, what is that? That's no life. And we say that when your desires are the flames that ignite the passion in your life. So even if you start out like an angry person, right? And, anger could be positive or negative.
Right.
Well, when I started this practice, I was really angry about a lot. I didn't even realize I was angry, but then I realized how angry I really was. So first, the anger initially was turned inward against myself
Right.
or others, and that wasn't creating any value.
Right.
But as I continued this practice. Now I'm angry that people suffer. Now I'm angry that people don't really respect their lives.
Right.
Now I'm angry that, we have leaders who don't respect the dignity of everybody's life. So that anger is turned toward good. And, when we talk about our practice, definitely, absolutely, you do not have to practice, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Buddhism, or the dignity, worshiping the dignity of life. Absolutely. Everything is based on cause and effect. So we're just referring to our own experience. But one very famous jazz musician, he started chanting for better drugs, right?
Yeah.
And nobody told him you can't chant because
Right.
it's total no judgment. Everybody is individual. Everybody's life is individual. So where you're at, is where you're at. So but then his life instinctively moved away from that, So not that anybody told him at all, but then, he started getting the reverse effect. He got so tired from taking cocaine that he decided this is
I'm
not
gonna
for me.
do this.
And evil lives alongside good. So without the negativity, you can't bring up the positive. Without failure or hardship, you can't really reflect on what's great in life. How could you appreciate if you haven't gone through any struggles or difficulties?
Right.
So desires are what really ignites us. And when we feel sinful or regretful, when we feel it exhausts us. It prevents us, it stops us from really achieving our life. We're stuck, we're paralyzed.
Yeah. The you change stuff, I had a person who I couldn't get along with, and I chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I realized something, that people made her the way that she was. She had to respond to the world in a certain way. And because I could realize that, then I had a different feeling for her, and I could be more compassionate.
Right.
I could be more kind to her. Take her feelings into consideration, take her, what she had to do, and be more giving, not to be like that, but to be more loving, The other thing, what are you desiring at this moment? What are your cravings? You can chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo for those cravings. You can put it to the test. Some people come to this practice and they have everything. So they're not suffering in certain ways. But then there's other people who come because they are suffering. Some people chant to disprove it. Oh, this isn't real. And then they get a prayer answered. And then they realize, oh, this definitely does work. So you're not separate. This also teaches that you're not separate from anybody else.
That's perfect. I love it. So one of my friends who came from a very wealthy family, actually she was from Haiti, from one of the top families in Haiti. And again, we don't want to keep on talking about, the practice, because we want to respect everybody's life and everybody's beliefs, etc. As long as those beliefs are making you happy, as long as those beliefs are uniting, you to other people, as long as
they're not hurting anybody.
And they're not hurting anybody, exactly. So she was very happy, and had everything in her life. And she said one day she got depressed. She didn't know what it was. It was like a new experience for her. And that's when she realized, something needs to change in her life. But it was like, oh my gosh, it was such a shock. And, we say, like, you can attain enlightenment in the worst possible conditions. And our, when you look at Nelson Mandela, he was in prison for so many years, but he never put down his guards. He realized that that was their job. They had to fulfill their job. he just had such a noble, incredibly noble spirit. And our second president, Jose Toda, attained enlightenment in prison. So sometimes the most difficult circumstances, because you can't be swayed by your circumstances, you have to look at your own life. You have to turn inward,
Yeah.
And when you're experiencing that kind of captivity, when you're liberated, you experience freedom like nobody experiences freedom.
True.
And that is tremendous joy. But if you're, living a life where everything is outside of you and you're just really caring more about this and this and this, you're not really developing your own life. But using everything, using your desires as tools, So please stop with the sin, stop with the guilt, stop all that stuff. You are on this earth to become happy, but not happy at somebody else's expense.
Right.
Not happy by walking over other people and, becoming, a carefree individual. Not happy just being externally, everything out here and nothing inside,
True.
But, earthly desires lead to enlightenment. And the more desires, the better, because that gets you to expand your life in such incredible ways. If you don't have any dreams, if you don't have any goals, well, then just go to bed, cover up your head, and
They used to tell us, have big dreams, have big dreams, because you have to have big dreams in order to accomplish something, And when I was just starting to chant, my dream was $50,000 a year, okay? By the time I finished, I had made the $50,000. By the time I was ready to retire. But if I had more confidence, I could have said $100,000, and I probably would have, I would have achieved that. I would have, because I was doing all the things, but my dream was small. And then so it doesn't matter what you think you can accomplish, whether you feel that it's impossible for you to have something. Once you challenge, you will see that you can do it, that you can make something change for yourself. And the freedom that you have. Well, in my case, once I started chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I realized that my happiness was up to me, that nobody could dictate to me how my life was supposed to go, because I had the freedom to always change, to always win. And I knew what the formula was.
Right, exactly.
I knew what the formula was. So and no matter what your doubts may be, the formula is always going to be the same. You challenge your doubt, you push yourself forward, even if you have tears in your eyes, you push yourself forward and you win.
And again, you don't have to chant to have this kind of life, but to realize that by making effort, by just having dreams, so many young people don't have dreams today. I often ask, what is your dream? What is your dream? And sometimes it's just, as simple as, getting out of bed in the morning, or just, achieving an A or B, or even passing a class. That's fine wherever you're at. It doesn't have to be grandiose, but to really push yourself forward, having determination, having some kind of desires, big or small. They don't have to be anything. And don't compare your desires to anybody else's,
Right.
My goal, 50,000, 100,000, that's never actually been my goal. I never thought of money in that way.
Right.
It was always, can I encourage another person's life, or can I lose weight, or can I this or that, and whatever it is. But it's your own goals, your own desires, your own dreams, and so I just want to read something. Your desires provide vital energy. Enlightenment is not a state of passive emptiness. It requires immense life force, Earthly desires are a potent form of fuel when channeled correctly through mindfulness or spiritual practice, and that's our practice, of course, but any practice that you have, that exact same intensity transforms into profound compassion and the drive to help others. So is there anything else you want to add to this discussion?
Let's see if I can see. I took notes.
Okay,
I took notes. I just want to see what else I had here. Let's see if there's one more thing I could tell you. I guess to know that your life, as it goes through its cycles of birth and death, that your life is neither born nor destroyed. It always is.
Okay, always,
Earthly,
forever.
earthly desires are nirvana.
Right.
Life and death.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes.
So
So some encouraging words are the mystic law embodies the principle that earthly desires are enlightenment. The more numerous our problems, the more we can expand our life state based on faith and make these problems the fuel for our happiness. We can positively transform everything, changing poison to medicine, and just talking about that concept, because we did talk about that concept in the past, that even the most difficult circumstance, we don't shy away from. The most difficult circumstances is that opportunity to transform. The more difficult, the more transformation, 180 degrees, the more benefit there is. So when you have lots of problems, we always congratulate people. Congratulations, you have lots of opportunity. You can have the most incredible fuel for your fire. You could have the most gorgeous fire in your fireplace, or when you barbecue or whatever it is, because the more struggles, the better. If you just don't have any struggles, well, you might as well. You know that joke that I'm going to show you where somebody doesn't have any problems. You take them to the graveyard, right? Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah.
So actually, Carla just asked a question: what are your cravings? What are your desires? And we would love to hear about them. You can actually leave a comment on TikTok, which we are at.
Yes.
And actually, we're trying to get it more international, right? So that would be fun. But cravings are cravings, no matter where you live, who you are, whatever. Everybody has desires and cravings. So,
and you can learn from all of them.
yeah, absolutely. Or you can write us on Mommas, MOMMAS podcast@gmail.com.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we're all human. We're all human. So if you're you think that your cravings are weird, and maybe they are, but as you direct them to something positive, well, that's a force to be reckoned with. So we are, who are we?
We are.
Don't mess with the Mommas, MOMMAS. I know we say it every time, but it's so easy to misspell that. And our motto is,
You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
Find us on all major platforms.
That's right.
You could see us. You can hear us.
Right.
Spotify is a good place to find
TikTok,
us. And TikTok, Insta, Substack, YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. YouTube.
YouTube. And so once again, we post every Wednesday.
Right.
And we look forward to connecting with you. Our viewers are the number one. I mean, that's why we're doing this. We're not looking to make money. We're looking to encourage, because everybody deserves to lead a happy, fulfilled, meaningful life, attaining enlightenment through their desires.
That's right.
So I crave, you
crave, and we all crave
for
ice cream. Okay. And we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.